Hi everyone, it's Tracy Higley and welcome to Around the World in just a few minutes. Well, if you've been a reader of mine for a while, I think you already know how special you are to me. The support and encouragement you're always offering, not to mention all the great input into my stories, is just so appreciated. So I'm going to let you in on some behind-the-scenes info about my book, Awakening, and take you on a whirlwind tour of the 3 exotic settings of this book. So I have to tell you, this book is really close to my heart. Many times when I do radio interviews or maybe an interview on someone's blog, I'm asked what my favorite book is that I've written, and that's always a tough question because I usually feel like I'm improving as I go along, and so very often my most recent book is my most favorite book. But Awakening really does have a special place for me. The idea for the book started on a long walk on the beach with another writer friend of mine in Oregon who was really encouraging me to just write the book that I would love to read, to fill it up with all the elements that I love to read in the story, and not to worry so much about whether it fit in with all the other books that I've written. Now, that was a bit of a challenge for me, and maybe you can relate to this, but a lot of times I find myself really wanting to meet other people's expectations, really wanting to please other people with whatever I'm doing. So I picked up this black rock on the beach that day in Oregon, and it came to symbolize taking a bit of a leap with my writing, just writing a book for the pure love of it, filling it up with all the elements I love, the history, the adventure, the mystery, the romance, and even a touch of the unexplained that I love to read in a story. So the result is Awakening, my 12th book, and I'm really excited to bring it to you. All the feedback I've gotten so far from those who've read early versions of it has been really enthusiastic, so I'm hoping very much that you will love it too. Now, even though Awakening is a contemporary story rather than a historical one, it is centered around a historical mystery, and that is the lost language of the Minoan culture. Now, the Minoans were the ones that inhabited Crete and some of the other islands of Greece before the Greek civilization. You might have heard of King Minos and the Minotaur. That's all part of the Minoan culture. Awakening starts in New York City, but the main character is quickly whisked away on a sort of global quest, which takes her to 3 locations, which just happen to be 3 of my favorite places in the world. And in this first video installment of Around the World in just a few minutes, I'm going to give you a sneak peek of the first of those locations, and that is Egypt. Now, the main character, Callie, has her first stop in the southern part of Egypt, in the city of Luxor, which is a city full of amazing temples and ruins along the Nile, including the Temple of Karnak, which is one of the largest ancient temple sites in the world. After Luxor, Callie gets to head off to Cairo and see the famous pyramids. Now, I loved writing about Callie's time in Egypt because I loved my time in Egypt, and I had some grand adventures there when I visited. One of my favorite memories of Egypt is visiting the Great Pyramid. There's a burial chamber way up in the top, and I so much wanted to get up in there. Now, that would have been a great adventure no matter what, but I just happen to have a really strong phobia about suffocation. And I knew that the 250-meter shaft up into that burial chamber was a pretty long climb, and it was very narrow, and you had to bend over the entire time because it was so small. And so I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to do it. I started reading all the guidebooks before we got there, and they all said, if you have any kind of problem with claustrophobia, don't even attempt it. You'll probably freak out. And so I knew it probably wasn't a good idea, but I so much wanted to go up in there, and I couldn't imagine going all the way to Egypt, all the way to the pyramids, and not getting a chance to climb up inside. Well, if you've read my earlier book, Pyramid of Secrets, or City of the Dead as it was originally titled, you probably remember that there are smaller pyramids beside the Great Pyramid that were built for queens. So one of these queen's pyramids was open that day, and I thought, well, I'll just go in there and it'll be my test pyramid. I'll check it out and see how I do. And if I do okay in there, then maybe I can take on the Great Pyramid. So the burial chambers in the queen's pyramids are below ground. I started down, didn't get very far at all when I panicked. I did freak out, and it felt like the walls were closing in on me, had to get people out of the way so I could climb back up and get out. I was so mad at myself, so angry that something that I knew was just in my head could possibly keep me from doing this thing that I wanted to do so much. So I was standing there practically in tears because I was just really upset. And We had not seen really any Americans or heard much English spoken at all since we'd arrived in Egypt, but suddenly there was this American man next to me, and he started talking to me, and he said, "You can do this. I know you can do this." And he gave me some tips. He said, "Go down backwards so you can look up and see the air, see the open sky above you as you're going down. You'll do better that way." And he said, "If you have any problems, I'll be right here. I'll be here at the top waiting for you. If you need me, you call. I'll come down and get you. I'll do whatever you need me to do, but you can do this. I know you can." So with that encouragement, I tried again, and the second time I did get all the way down into the Queen's Pyramid. I yelled back up, "I'm fine, I'm okay," and I explored around for a little bit, and I climbed back out, and he was gone. A little mysterious. He was gone. I never saw him again. But that encounter gave me the courage that I needed to try out the Great Pyramid. And so, 250 narrow, tight, breathing heavy, sweaty meters later, I made it to the top, crawled into that burial chamber, stood upright, saw that granite sarcophagus, and just burst out crying. I was so happy to have conquered that fear. Later on, at an open-air bazaar in Cairo, I picked up this pyramid, this stone pyramid, just as a reminder of the day that I conquered a really big fear of mine and did something really exciting that I wanted to do. Well, Callie's adventures in Egypt are even more exciting than mine, of course, including taking on tomb raiders and getting stranded in the desert with a billionaire, and you're just gonna have to read the book for any more than that. So that's it for this installment, but I'll be sending you another in just a few days to give you another sneak peek into our next location. So do you think you can guess where it is? Here's a clue. That's all you're getting. Hi everyone, it's Tracy Higley, and welcome to the second installment of Around the World in just a few minutes, in which I'm telling you a little bit about my book Awakening and taking you on a whirlwind tour of the 3 exotic settings of this book. And by the way, I'm loving having you along for this behind-the-scenes tour of Awakening. I'm convinced that I have the best readers that an author could possibly have. So I teased you a little bit in our last video with this mask. Have you guessed yet the second location of Awakening? It's one of the most elegant cities in the world. In fact, just remembering my time there makes me just want to sigh at the name of the city. It's Venice, the city of masks. I visited Venice with my oldest daughter, and I have some fabulous memories of that time together. But by the time our heroine Callie arrives in Venice, she is hot on the trail of quite a mystery. But she's also getting a little freaked out about some things in her personal life. See, Callie has lost her memory, and though it's beginning to come back and work its way back into her conscious mind, she's got some significant doubts that she's going to like what she remembers. You see, there seems to be some serious trauma that she might be repressing, and she's not sure what's going to come out if she finally does remember what happened to her. But the elegant city of Venice works its charm anyway, and she has a wonderful time there, at least until someone tries to kill her. Oh, and remember that rich billionaire from the desert, Dimitri? He's there too. So, Venice. What memories should I share? It's truly like stepping back in time to be there. No cars are allowed on the island at all. The whole city floats on a lagoon with dozens and dozens of narrow canals running like streets through it, and everyone's getting around just in gondolas and water taxis. Well, we visited during the rainy season, so my thoughts of Venice always involve water, lots and lots of water. In fact, there was one day where we got stranded at the base of the bell tower in St. Mark's Piazza, right outside the beautiful Basilica of St. Mark's. And the piazza just started to flood real unexpectedly, and we were standing there at the bell tower and just got stranded in water that was just almost up to our calves. There was really nothing we could do but just make a run for it and wade through, and I think it took a week for our shoes to dry out. So whenever I think of Venice, I think of water, but I also think of how when you're wet and you're cold, there is nothing like Italian hot chocolate to warm you up. By the time we left Venice, we were absolutely addicted to this stuff. They make it so thick, it's like a melted chocolate bar. Oh, it was so good. In fact, I think I'm going to have to go try to make some of that when I'm finished talking to you. Well, there is so much beauty in Venice. It really was a wonderful trip. From the narrow alleys like the one outside our little hotel where we stayed, to the pink mansions, beautiful mansions along the Grand Canal, of course the famous Rialto Bridge, the opera house. It really was like a fairy tale city, and it's one of the top places on my list of places I'd like to go back and visit someday. Maybe next time when it's not quite so wet. Well, just like in Egypt, Callie gets to experience the best of Venice and its dangerous underside as well. She and Dimitri are hot on the trail of that lost artifact that they're seeking, but Callie's inner world and her outer world are starting to collide, and she's on the verge of a revelation that is going to rock her world. So that's all I'm going to give you about Venice, which was stop number 2 on our whirlwind trip around the world. We've got one more stop to make. Hi everyone, it's Tracy Higley, and welcome to the 3rd installment of Around the World in Just a Few Minutes, in which I'm telling you a little bit about my book Awakening and taking you on a whirlwind tour of the 3 exotic locations of this book. Well, it's been great fun having you along for this video series and hearing about all the times and places that you dream of visiting. Together we've climbed the pyramids in Egypt and we've sailed down the canals of Venice, but we have one more stop to make on our tour, and it's the place where everything that Callie has been studying in the years since she lost her memory is centered, and that is the gorgeous island of Santorini. Now, you may not be familiar with Santorini by name, but I can almost guarantee that if you have ever seen photos of Greece, you have seen this iconic island's blue domes and white cliffside houses. It is one of the most photographed locations in the world, and I can tell you that when I was there, I could not stop taking pictures. Well, our heroine Callie isn't in Santorini for sightseeing, of course. She has a way more dangerous and exciting mission than that, but even Callie can't help but be charmed by this magnificent island. Well, I visited Santorini with my husband, and we spent a really fun day taking in this small island on a 4-wheeler, driving up and down the cliffside coastline and climbing all around the city at the northern tip called Ia. Well, remember your hint from the last video that Santorini was once a round island, but now it's shaped more like a donut? Well, somewhere around 1500 BC, a huge volcanic eruption blew the whole center of the island just sky high and left it shaped more with that hole in the center, with the western edge really just a few partially submerged islands and most of the rest of the land that was left on the eastern edge. So when that volcano blew the center of the island, seawater rushed into that crater, and if you visit Santorini today by ship, if you arrive by ship, you actually sail right into the center of the crater called the caldera to get to the island. It's an amazing view, and in fact the sunset from that caldera is so beautiful that you just absolutely have to see it in person to believe it. Now, when I visited Santorini, I was on a special mission. An earlier book of mine, Isle of Shadows, had just recently been repackaged with a new cover. And even though Isle of Shadows takes place on the Greek island of Rhodes, when I saw the new cover, I was pretty sure that that photo on the cover had been taken on the island of Santorini. And so I was determined to find that same spot where that cover photo had been taken. So once we arrived in the town of Ia, it didn't take long for me to figure out we were in the right area. I could see the mountains on the horizon, and they were the same mountains that were on the horizon in the cover photo. So I knew we were in the same spot, but finding the exact place in the town where that photo was taken was a bit of a challenge. We kept trying though, and perseverance paid off. We actually found it, which was so cool. And I got some photos of me holding the book, which with that same vista behind me, which was a little like looking in one of those repeating funhouse mirrors. It was a little strange. But I also wanted to get a video of the location. Well, the coolest thing happened just as I started to record my video. It wasn't something I was expecting, but it was just so fun. I really loved it. So I'm going to let you watch it just so you can feel like you were part of this spontaneous moment too. Here it is. Wasn't that fun? I had no idea that was going to happen when I started recording. The whole day is really a special memory for me, and I would love to go back to Santorini again too, this time not just for a day, maybe for a few weeks. But until then, I'll have to let Callie have all the adventures in Santorini, and believe me, this is where things really start to heat up for her. Everything is colliding, her past, her present, her relationship with Dimitri. But we're going to wrap up this little video series. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And if you're looking for a fun read, one that will let you escape to some really cool settings, keep you turning pages into the night, and maybe even inspire you with some of the deeper truths about the whole broad scope of human history, then definitely pick up a copy of Awakening. You can click one of the buttons below and get that right away. And would you do me a favor? After you've read it, would you leave a few lines of review on Amazon or wherever you like? Because reviews really do make a huge difference to authors, and I would so much appreciate that favor. Oh, and about that keeping you up at night. I always offer a page turner guarantee on all of my books, and maybe you've seen this on my website. If you don't love it, just send me an email with your purchase receipt in it, and I will send you back whatever you paid for it. Because I really believe people should love what they buy, and that should include books. So that's my promise to you. Thanks for watching. Now go have an adventure.